Okay, looks like we're live. You're clearly looking at my, um, what's it called? You're clearly looking at my live streaming thing. So today, in Les Stream, we are going to be reading some Lion Guard fan fiction. Instead of doing what we normally do, which is read Our Entitled Parents or something like that. Real quick, let me just send out the link to to the stream. This stream right here on Twitter. That's what I'm trying to say. We already have 2 people watching. Damn. Share. Tweet. We live. Why do I always title it like that? Real quick, I'm gonna turn up the mic. Is that good? I need to know. So, if you can hear it in the background, I am. Actually, let me go back to the vid. If you can hear it in the background, I am watching one of Markiplier Makes his series on YouTube. But my TV's so down. But my TV volume is like down low, so you guys can't really hear it. But let's get right to the topic. So, today's live stream is gonna be me reading Lion Guard fanfiction. Specifically this one, which is called Lion Guard, Friends or Enemies Become Friends. Number 1. My Lion Guard Fan 2013. Now, I read some of this last night, originally for a video, and it's actually really, really good. I honestly really like it. I'm actually gonna, give me a moment, I'm gonna widen up my face here. That's probably too wide. Let's see. Is it too wide? I'm also watching the stream on my phone so I can see what's going on. Yeah, that's right. That's alright. Okay. Let me actually turn it. Is that good? Yeah, that's... It's good enough. So, Chapter 1, Morning Patrol, edited. So the author wrote, before this fanfiction starts, I just want to say this is my first fanfiction. My grammar isn't that good. I decided to do this because I have nothing else to do in life. Also, Lion King is my favorite Disney show, so I'll try to do Lion Guard fanfictions. Enjoy, everyone. I will enjoy it. Okay. Kion was sleeping in the lair when the sun started to rise up. The rays of the sun awoke Kion. Hang on. And he yawned as he stretched. He went out of the lair and up to Pride Rock to see if his family was awake yet. When he entered, he saw that Kiara was started to wake up as well. Kiara saw Kion outside the den, watching the sunrise, and decided to go watch it with him. "Morning, Kion," Kiara said, still a little sleepy, as she sat down next to him. "Morning, Kiara," he replied with a smile. They both sat there in silence, watching the sunrise. Simba and Nala both woke up and saw Kion and Kiara watching the sun rise together. They both smiled at each other and decided to join them. "Morning, you two," Simba said. Kion and Kiara turned to see Simba and Nala behind him. "Morning, Mom. Morning, Dad." "Morning, kid." "Morning, kids," Nala said. After the sunrise, Kion said bye to his family and went to the lair to see the rest of the guard was there, ready for morning patrol. "Hey guys, you ready for morning patrol?" Kion asked. They all nodded and headed out for patrol. It was now the middle of the day, and the guard decided to take a break at the watering hole. Bunga was the first one to jump in. He climbed a tree and used a branch as a diving board to do a cannonball. "Zukazama!" He made a big splash to splash Fuli. "Bunga!" Fuli yelled at Bunga as she was shaking water off of her. Bunga saw what he did and apologized. "Oops, sorry, Fuli." Fuli just gave an eye roll. And that's what Fuli does. Ono was sitting on a branch on top of a tree peacefully when he saw Janja and his clan chasing the zebras into the outlands. Kion! It's Janja! He and his clan were chasing a herd of zebras into the outlands." Kion the outlands. "Come on, Lion Guard. Come on, everyone. Till the Pride Lands end, Lion Guard defend." I obviously can't do the rest of the voices, but that's the best I could do. Okay. Next part of the story. Continue reading to the next part. Come on. There we go. Chapter 2. The Ambush /Fight /Earthquake. The hyenas had the zebras cornered at a dead end. "Oh no, it's a dead end. We're done for!" The zebras then turned around to see their enemies closing in on them. "Nowhere to run now, zebras," Janja says after he laughs. The zebras started trembling. "Don't worry, the pain won't last long," Janja says with an evil grin. Just as Janja was about to lunge at the zebra, Kion showed up on top of the cliff and shouted, "Hyenas, step away from the zebras!" Janja and his clan looked up to see Kion jumping down between them and the zebras. The rest of the guard shows up behind the clan and surrounds them. Janja wasn't surprised. He was hoping the guard would show up. While the clan was surrounded by the guard, the zebras saw this as their chance to escape. "Come on, everyone, let's get out of here." The clan was disappointed that they didn't get food. Janja, however, didn't care that much. "I'd like to thank you for falling right into our trap, Kion," said Janja. Kion's eyes widened. "What?" Janja looks up at the cliff entrance and shouts, "Ray Ray, Kiburi, now!" Ray Ray and Kiburi cause a rock slide and block off the only exit. The jackals and crocs jumped down off the cliff and surrounded the guard. "Unbelievable! I can't believe we fell right into a trap." "This is one of Scar's plans, isn't it, Janja?" Janja laughs, then replies, "You are correct, Cub. Now I believe that we fell into a trap, Bunga says. Now we get a chance to please Scar. Ray Ray starts. And finally get rid of you for good, Kiburi finishes. Janja then had another idea. After we are rid of you, we will go pay a little visit to the hyena resistance. Kion's eyes widened again and growled at Janja. You leave Jasiri and her clan out of this. You are in no position to give orders, cub. Attack! Ray Ray and the Jackals were taking on Fulia and Ono. Beshi is fighting the Crocs. Bunga is fighting Janja's clan. Kion is fighting Janja. Things started to not look good for the guard. Then the guard started to... Then the ground started to shake. Everyone stopped, confused, as of why the ground shook. What's going on? Janja asked while having Kion pinned against a rock slide. I don't know, Kion replied. Then after a moment of silence, an earthquake happened. The earthquake caused the rock slide to collapse, and Janja and Kion took notice of it, and jumped out of the way in time. The ground under the rock slide opened up because of the earthquake that is going. Ono noticed the hole first. Guys! The earthquake is causing the hole to open up, Ono warned the guard before the hole got too big to jump across. Let's get out of here! The guard and Scar's army all jumped across. Kion and Janja didn't make it, though. Janja was holding on to the edge while Kion was holding Janja's paw. Just hold on, Kion, Janja said. I'm trying to. Unfortunately, Janja's claws started to slip off the rock. They both fell down the hole. They both screamed. Ah! The guard, Cheesy, and Chungu went over to the hole when they heard the screams. Kion! Boss! Wow. Janja wakes up and sees he is on top of Kion. Hey, Kion! Kion, you alive? No response from Kion. Janja then checks his heart and gets his ear close to his mouth and nose to listen for breathing. He's still breathing. Janja then gets off of Kion and looks at his surroundings. He then looks up and sees the hole he and Kion fell through. Fellas! You up there? No response. Janja tried to walk, but was limping. His left hind was bleeding. His head was also hurting, so he felt a little dizzy. He sat down and kicked and licked his wound. As he was cleaning his leg, Kion started to wake up with a very hurt head. Ugh, my head. Where am I? Janja looks over at Kion and announces his presence. Hey, Kion! Kion turned to see Janja. Janja? Kion stood up, but a jolt of pain went through his right side and right hind leg. Ah! He then falls down. Kion, you okay? Janja asks as he limped towards Kion. No, I'm not. My head, my right side, and my right hind leg hurt. Janja started to frown after Kion said his condition. He didn't know why he was frowning. Janja then saw a tunnel that might lead back outside. Kion, look! A tunnel! Well, seems like you're the only one getting out of here. Janja looked back at Kion with a confused face. What do you mean? Janja asked. I can't walk. Plus, you will take this to your advantage and kill me. No, we're both getting out of here. Kion looked at Janja with a surprised face. He started thinking he heard him wrong. What? You want to help me? Why? Janja then sighs and says, Listen, we're both trapped down here and can barely walk. As much as I hate to say it, we need to work together to get out of here. What the hell? Was that a hair? Kion thought for a moment and asked, How am I going to walk? Janja gets in front of Kion and lays down. Get on. I'll carry you. Nobody's in the chat, but there are 2 people watching. 1 like. Hmm. I think people saw my tweet that I just sent on Twitter. Where am I? Jonja gets in front of Kion and lays down. Get on, I'll carry you. Kion thought for a moment, then nodded. He climbed onto Jonja and wrapped his paws around his neck. I'm ready, Kion said. All right, let's get moving. Jonja said as he stands up and starts limping. You sure you can make it far on your leg? Kion asked with a worried tone. Jonja continued to limp in the tunnel and replied to Kion. Yeah, I think I can manage. Wow. At the volcano a few hours before Jonja and Kion woke up. So, Jonja and Kion fell down a hole that the earthquake caused. Scar asked. Kiburi stepped up and answered. Yes. His new crew is very worried about him. His crew is very worried about him. Ray Ray added, looking back at Jonja's clan. Scar did an evil laugh, which confused his army. I don't really care what happens to Jonja. I only care if Kion is dead. The others were scared at first, but then decided to laugh with him. You're right. So what if Jonja is dead? Kiburi asked. As long as Kion is dead, the guard is weakened dramatically. Ray Ray finished. Wait. Huh? I misread that. The others were scared at first, but then decided to laugh at him. You're right. So what if Kion is dead? Or what if Jonja is dead? Kiburi said. That's supposed to be Kiburi's line. And then the next one is supposed to be Ray Ray's. Okay. Let's try that a third time. You're right. So what if Jonja is dead? Kiburi said. As long as Kion is dead, the guard is weakened dramatically. Ray Ray finished. Cheesy and Chungu looked at each other for a few seconds and got mad. They turned to the crew and nodded. The crew nodded back, knowing that they were going to find Jonja. Right as they were about to exit the volcano, Scar stopped them. Where are you guys going? Cheesy and Chungu looked back at Scar with their mad faces. Cheesy then spoke up. We're going to look for Jonja, and we ain't coming back till we find him. The crew nodded and ran, knowing that Scar was going to try to stop them. Kiburi, Ray Ray, stop them! In the Pride Lands, the royal family started getting worried. Kiara was more worried for her brother. Mom, Dad, do you think Kion is okay? She asked. I'm sure your brother is okay, Kiara, Simba responded. But Kiara couldn't stop worrying about Kion. What if he isn't okay? What if he's too hurt to get out of the hole? Ha ha ha. That's what they all say. What if there was no way out of there? What if the fall did kill him? What if Jonja survived and Kion was in no condition to fight back? Tears started to stream from Kiara's eyes. Nala and Simba comforted Kiara. Shh. It's okay, Kiara. Let's not think about those things, Nala said, nuzzling her daughter. She's right. We just have to have hope. Simba said, wiping away his daughter's tears. I'll try, Kiara says, sniffling. In the guard lair. The guard was also getting worried about Kion. There was silence until Fuli decided to speak. Guys, we need to go back out there and look for Kion. Maybe he's found his way out and is lost. Bunga stood up and replied, She's right. We can't just hope Kion will find his way back. He might be hurt.
We need to find him and help him.
Ono and Beshti nodded and got up.
Affirmative. Let's go.
Oh, there are 2 more parts in this one. Okay. The guard headed their way into the Outlands to look for Kion. Ono spotted something at the border. He saw Janja's clan enter... Okay, this is working together, part 2. He saw Janja's clan enter the Pride Lands, running. He seemed confused as of why they were running. He then saw the Jackals and Crocs run into the Pride Lands. At first he thought they were charging into the Pride Lands, but then he realized the hyenas were being chased by the Jackals and Crocs.
Guys! Scar's army is in the Pride Lands.
Bunga's got a serious face going.
Then let's go get him. Wait!
Ono stopped Bunga from going to take them.
The Jackals and Crocs are chasing the hyenas. What?
Everyone said, surprised.
Why are the hyenas being chased?
Beshti asked.
I thought they were on the same thing. I say we go help out the hyenas so we can get some answers.
Everyone looked at fully confused and nodded, knowing she was right.
Lead the way, Ono, Bunga said. Until the Pride Lands end, Lion Guard defend.
The hyenas kept running as fast as they could. They knew that they didn't stand a chance by themselves. Ray Ray started to gain on them.
You can't run forever!
They won't anymore, Fully said as she pounced on and pinned Ray Ray. The rest of the guards showed up to help defend the hyenas.
Lion Guard? Why are you helping the hyenas?
Ray Ray asked, confused. Fully got off Ray Ray and answered her question with a question of her own.
Why are you chasing the hyenas? Aren't you on the same side?
Because before she could finish, Kiburi stopped her from saying the reason. That's none of your business, Lion Guard. Now step aside. They didn't move out of the way. Instead, they stood in defense and was ready when the enemy was going to make their move. The hyenas did the same. Kiburi took notice and already knew that he and his friends were going to lose the fight. Fine. We'll leave. Ray Ray didn't like that.
What? You're just going to give up?
We don't stand a chance. We'll lose. Now let's go. We'll get them another time. Ray Ray let out a sigh and followed. Tano, one of Janja's members, was the first one to speak.
Thanks for saving us.
The guard turned to the hyenas, and Ono was the first of them to speak.
Why were they chasing you?
Chungu spoke up.
We were getting worried about Janja and decided to head out to look for him. Scar doesn't even care if Janja's gone or not. He only cares if Kion is dead.
Cheesy added.
The Jackals and Crocs felt the same. Scar didn't want us to go look for Janja. He ordered them to stop us and bring us back.
Nene finished. The guard listened and didn't think Scar would be so heartless. Beshti had an idea.
How about you stick with us? We can help each other. You help us look for Kion, and we'll help you look for Janja.
The guard looked at Beshti confused.
Sure. Thanks, Beshti.
Fully was disgusted about the idea.
Bunga didn't mind that much.
Ono knew that it would help them look for Kion and Janja faster. I should have brought water in here.
They head to the hole where they last saw Kion and Janja. No sign of them. Fully said. No sign of them,
Fully said. Bunga then had an idea.
Hey, how about we go to Jasiri's clan? Maybe they can help. Great idea, Little Bee.
They headed to see Jasiri.
Once they showed up, everyone at the territory was surprised. Jasiri, Fully spoke up. We need your help.
Fully explained the whole thing to Jasiri and her clan. By the time she finished explaining, the sun was almost out of sight. Jasiri then spoke up.
We'll help search for them tomorrow. It's getting late. You guys can stay for the night if you want. We appreciate it, Jasiri. Thanks.
Beshti said. I don't know what kind of accent Jasiri has, you guys. So I just put on some kind of accent. I don't know what it was. At the underground cave, Janja was still carrying Kion. He carried him for an hour and a half. He started to get tired. His left hind leg was giving him trouble to keep going. It was also dark outside. Kion was the first to say something. Janja, it's too dark outside. I'm tired. Janja then stopped and replied, Yeah, me too. I also need to rest my leg. Let's find a good amount of space where we can sleep first. Kion nodded and Janja continued to walk. After a few minutes of walking, Janja saw a light at the end of the tunnel. He continued to walk and saw a big amount of space for he and Kion to sleep. He also saw some water coming out from the hole above them. There must be a waterfall up there, he thought. Hey, Kion, you thirsty? Kion? Janja then saw that Kion was already asleep. He went over to where the water was and set Kion down so they can both take a drink. Kion, wake up. I found us some water, Janja said softly. Kion moaned and woke up. He didn't say anything other than, thanks, and started to drink the water. Janja started to drink as well. Right after Kion had a good amount of sips, he looked over at Janja and noticed his neck was wounded as well. Janja, your neck. Janja stopped drinking and looked at Kion. I know. Some of the rocks scratched it. Let's just get some sleep. Kion nodded and rested his head on his paws. Janja did the same. Janja couldn't sleep comfortably. His injured neck was bothering him, and he looked at Kion, who was also asleep. At least someone isn't too injured to sleep, he thought. He decided to drink some water. Kion started growling and slowly opened his eyes. Janja heard the growling and looked over at Kion. What's wrong, Kion? I can't sleep. My head hurts too much, Kion said, grunting. Janja walked over to Kion and felt his head. He felt some liquid on him. At first he thought it was water until he saw the color. It was blood. Kion, your head is bleeding a little, Janja said with a worried tone. Kion's eyes widened, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he just tried to go back to sleep. Janja then decided to do Kion another favor since they have to work together to get out. Kion didn't expect this at all. Janja, what are you... Janja put his paw over his muzzle. I'm cleaning your wound so you can get better. Hold still. Janja continued to lick the wound on Kion's head, while Kion just lay there in shock. After a while, Janja stopped. How does it feel? It feels better. Thanks, Kion said with a smile. Don't mention it. Now let's try, and Kion interrupted him with a question. Hold on, Janja. Why were you up? Janja didn't want to admit that his neck was bothering him, but he knew he had to. He laid next to Kion and told him, It's my neck. I can't get in a comfortable sleeping position. Kion thought of Janja licking his head wound and decided to return the favor. This caught Kion off guard. Kion? Why are you surprised? You did it to me. I'm simply returning the favor. Kion licked his wound a few more times and spoke again. Besides, you said we needed to work together to get out of here. Kion continued to lick Janja's neck wound. Janja wasn't that shocked anymore. Kion did remind Janja of what he said. Kion finished and asked, How does it feel? It feels a lot better, thanks. Kion smirked and responded, Don't mention it. Janja knew what Kion just did. Did you mock me? He asked with a smirk of his own. Yup, I sure did. They both laughed for a moment and then fell silent. Janja then looked at Kion's right hind leg and right side while Kion looked at Janja's left hind leg and left side. Janja's left side was hurt as well. They already knew what to do. After they finished cleaning each other's wounds, Kion took a few more sips of water as well and yawned. We should get some sleep now. Agreed, Janja said and stayed where he was next to Kion and put his head on his paws. Kion was wondering why Janja wasn't going back to where he was.
Aren't you going back to your spot?
Janja looked at Kion and said,
I'd rather stay here next to you. Keep you company.
Kion took those words into thought and smiled. He then scooted closer to Janja and their bodies were touching. Janja felt Kion's body next to his and looked over at him. Kion still had a smile on his face and said two things.
Janja, one, I think you're taking this truth a little too far. It was unexpected for someone like you to help me like this. And two, thanks for helping me. I guess you're not that bad of a hyena.
Janja looked away with a blush.
Maybe not.
He rested his head on his paws and closed his eyes.
Good night, cub.
Kion put his head on his paws and closed his eyes as well.
Good night, pup.
2 hours before afternoon. Okay, this is chapter 7. Friendly Talk, part 1. 2 hours before the afternoon. The rays went through the hole and woke up Janja. He saw Kion was still asleep and was thinking about waking him up, but decided not to. Janja yawned and stretched his limbs. Kion was close to waking up, but he could have stayed asleep a little longer. But Janja's yawn woke him up.
Hey, Janja,
Kion said with his yawn.
Morning.
Kion, morning. They both took another drink of water. After Janja finished drinking, he turned to Kion, who just finished drinking too, and said,
Well, it's time for us to continue. We seem to be getting close to the surface, judging by the distance the hole is from us.
Janja got down.
Climb on.
Kion just stayed there in silence. He wanted to have a talk with Janja before they headed off.
I actually want to talk to you first.
Janja then turned to Kion.
Why? What about Kion?
Kion thought for a moment. Then something came to mind.
I want to talk about the circle of life.
Janja just laid there for a bit, turned facing the same direction Kion was facing, and nodded. He was still confused at what he meant.
About the circle of life? Janja asked.
Kion then thought of a question that never came to his mind before.
Why do you hate the circle of life? What do you have against it?
Janja thought for a moment. This question was unexpected. He then gave Kion the truth. My mom told me that the circle of life prevents us from eating a good enough meal. We don't get to hunt. All we have to do is scavenge some leftovers, and our job is to take it over. Those words she said to me. Kion was surprised that his mom was like that. He thought for a moment and decided to tell Janja the truth. He knew he had to tell him.
Your mom was wrong. Your job isn't to destroy the circle of life. And I should know, thanks to Jasiri. I know now that hyenas are the cleanup crew.
Janja listened to the truth. He knew what he meant when he said cleanup crew.
We eat your leftovers so we can have a meal. And so the Pride Lands will have a bunch of dead meat around messing the plant life.
Kion smiled and nodded.
Exactly.
Janja then started to frown, with a few tears started to form. Kion noticed and asked, Janja, are you okay? Janja shook his head.
No, I'm not okay, Kion. Just knowing the truth now makes me feel really guilty of what I did. I now wish I can take it all back.
Kion had a frown on his face and comforted Janja. He got on top of Janja and tried wiping away the tears. Janja was shocked that Kion got on top and blushed.
Get up, Janja,
Kion said softly.
Let's talk some more on the way.
Janja nodded and got up with Kion on his back. He still couldn't walk well.
One more thing, Janja. What's that?
Kion wrapped his paws around Janja's neck and answered with a smile.
I forgive you.
Janja smiled. He was glad Kion forgave him. Thanks, Kion. When we get back, I want to try to make peace between us. For my clan. Kion was a little surprised but smiled. I'll try my best to help you. Thanks, Kion. Janja started to walk in the tunnel with Kion when Kion was about to say something else. Huh. Who'd have thought? Janja looked at Kion. What? Kion smirked at him and said, You really have a heart. You care for your clan. Janja blushed and continued to walk. I really wish I had water in here. Nobody said anything in the chat yet. There'll be a Reddit video. What's today? Wednesday? On Friday. A few hours of traveling later, Janja and Kion kept moving in the tunnel. Some of the tunnel was going up. Janja and Kion found another big amount of space with a hole. Janja sighed in relief. He needed to relax because of his leg. Kion didn't bother to ask Janja why he sighed. He already knew his left leg wasn't healed enough not to cause trouble. Janja walked under the hole and let Kion slide down. There was silence for a while until Janja broke the silence. Hey Kion, you still want to talk? Kion looked at Janja and nodded. Do you want to start, Cub? What are you talking about? Or what are you wanting to talk about? Our past, Janja answered. Kion thought for a few seconds and nodded. What was Cub life for you? Janja asked. Well, it's the age I met my friends. Bungo was the first. I didn't think he was so brave at his age. Sure, his actions got us into trouble sometimes, but he was fun to be around. We both met Ono at a pond. He said he saw us coming from far away. He was sitting on top of Bashi's back when we met him as well. What about Fuli? How did you meet her? Kion smiled went to a frown. Janja noticed the frown and asked, Was it a bad stop between you and her? Kion shook his head. No. I snuck away from Pride Rock to explore the Pride Lands. While I was exploring, I heard crying coming from behind the tree. I went on the other side to see who was crying. It was Fuli. I then went up and sat next to her. She turned and saw me with my sad face. I asked her, What's going on? Or what's wrong? Did something happen? She continued to cry for 10 seconds and said, My parents died 10 minutes ago. Janja's eyes widened, then had a frown on his face as well. How did it happen? I asked her that same question. She said they were on a hunt for wildebeests. They got killed by a stampede they caused. Then I hugged her and said, I'm sorry that happened, but just know they are still watching over you from up there. She looked up at the sky and smiled. Thanks. Kion, you? Fuli. You're welcome, Fuli. Now, there was a moment of silence after Kion explained how he met his friends. Janja broke the silence. Well, I guess it's my turn. I'm all ears, Janja, Kion said. Janja let out a sigh before he began. I was alone sometime at a young age. I wasn't old enough to look after myself. My parents died because they got sick. Tears started to form in Janja's eyes. Or should I say, Janja's eyes. I know this is Janja, it's just a typo. Kion saw the tears and nuzzled the side of Janja's face to comfort him. Janja wasn't that surprised about the nuzzle. I'm sorry to hear that, Janja. It's okay, Kion. Janja wiped away the tears before he continued. Right after I watched the sickness take my parents away, I wandered away from home, hoping to find food or water. It then started to get dark after a few hours. I was tired, hungry, and thirsty. I didn't have any food or water all day, and I was young, so I didn't have strength to keep going.
I collapsed to the ground, but before I had my eyes closed, I saw vultures circling me. I thought I was done for. I regained consciousness and found myself in the den with food and a small lake in the back. I then saw a vulture in the den with me. It was Mazingo. What's your name, young hyena? I was scared at first, but then I realized he was helping me. Janja. He then gave me a smile. Nice to meet you, Janja. I am Mazingo. I am the vulture's leader. Go ahead and eat the food we brought you. You need it. There is also water behind you. I nodded and said, Thanks, Mazingo. You're welcome, Janja. Then he took off. Kion interrupted the story. So Mazingo was the one that looked after you this whole time? Janja looked at Kion with a smile and nodded. It also explains the fact why the vultures were so loyal to me. Kion gave a nod to show he understood. How did you end up living in the volcano? Janja then blushed at the thought. Is it embarrassing? Kion asked. Kinda. Just don't laugh when I mention the pot. Kion nodded and said, I promise. Janja let out a sigh and started explaining. It was a cold night. I left the den and then I got lost. I started to lose hope that I wasn't going to find my way back to the den. That's when I saw the volcano. I was curious because I didn't know what it was at the time. As I entered the volcano, it felt so warm. I decided to stay there until morning. When morning hit, I woke up to see an angry and worried Mazingo. I loved how the volcano was and wanted to stay. Mazingo let us stay there. I used to walk close to the edge of the lava just to see the look on Mazingo's face when I did. Janja chuckled saying this. Why did you leave the den in the first place? Janja hesitated, but was able to say it. I was chasing a butterfly. Kion chuckled a bit. Hey, you said you wouldn't laugh. Janja was mad at Kion for breaking his promise. If it makes you feel any better, Janja, I wasn't laughing at the fact you were chasing a butterfly. I was laughing at the fact you said it was embarrassing. Because it is embarrassing. How is it embarrassing to admit you were chasing a butterfly when you were a baby? Because I'm not a baby anymore. So to me, it's embarrassing. Kion failed to see the reason. Kion had one more question for Janja. What about Cheesy and Chungu? Those two seem to be the most loyal to you. They were the first you've ever met, weren't they? Janja smiled, remembering the first time he met those two fur-brains. They were the first ones I met. It happened 2 months ago after I discovered he still didn't want me to go out far. Up. I skipped the line. It happened 2 months after I discovered the volcano. Mazingo let me go out by myself, for he thought I was ready. He still didn't want me to go out far. I was exploring part of the outlands until I heard someone call for help. I then ran towards the problem. It was Chungu calling for help. Cheesy was trapped behind a pile of boulders. He wasn't hurt, but his only exit was blocked by one boulder that Chungu couldn't move by himself. I decided to help him since it seemed they were alone, like I was before Mazingo found me. After I helped Chungu move the boulder out of the way, I offered them a home with me. They accepted the offer. We have become best friends ever since. Of course, they became annoying, but I still cared for those two. Kion smiled and slightly nudged Janja. Like I said, you have a good heart. You care about the fur-brains. Janja smiled with Kion and nudged him back. Janja looked at Kion's right hind leg. How's your leg? Kion tried standing. He had trouble at first, but is able to walk now. Not well. I guess you don't have to carry me anymore. That's great. Just don't overdo it. Janja smirked. Kion noticed the mock. Did you just mock me?
Maybe. I'm going to read up to chapter 10. Because there are, 20 parts in this whole story? I think there are 20 parts. Or 28 parts, maybe. Oh, this is going to be this is going to be split into parts. Yeah, 28 parts. Okay. I'm going to read this in chapter 10, and that's the last part I'm going to read for the night. 2 hours after the talk, Kion and Janja continued to walk to find their way out. They were making slow progress because of their legs. They were almost fully healed, but they didn't want to put too much pressure on them. Kion started panting and started holding his stomach. Janja stopped as well and asked, "What's wrong, Kion? Does your stomach hurt?" Kion gave a little nod. "I didn't eat much the last 7 days, and I didn't have a meal yesterday." Janja put his paw on Kion's shoulder. "Just hang in there, Kion. I'm sure we're getting out." Kion nodded and weakly said, "I'll try." They continued to walk. After about 10 minutes, Kion started to lose consciousness. He was really hungry. "Hang in there, Kion," Janja said, helping Kion stand up. Kion then saw some light at the end of the tunnel, but he didn't know if it was his hunger making him see things or not. "Either my hunger is making me see things, or there is really a light at the end of the tunnel." Janja looked at the end of the tunnel and saw the light as well. "I see it, too. Come on, Kion. Let's get out of here. And we both get food, okay?" "Okay." They made it to the exit. "We're here, Kion." Janja went out first and waited for Kion. As Kion got half his body out, he collapsed from hunger. "Kion!" Janja went over to Kion and started shaking him awake. Kion didn't move. He must be starving, Janja thought. Janja got Kion on his back and started going for the Pride Lands. "I'll get you some food, Kion. Don't worry." Janja entered the Pride Lands with Kion on his back and started looking for some leftovers. Other animals nearby saw Janja carrying Kion. They were confused. Janja knew they were watching but tried to pretend they weren't. He ignored the eyes on him and Kion. Janja was heading towards the hunting grounds, where there were some leftovers. Plenty for Kion. He picked up the food and started heading towards the watering hole. When he got to the watering hole, the other animals backed up when they saw him, with the unconscious Kion. Janja got closer to the watering hole and let Kion slide down. He set down the food and splashed water on Kion to wake him up. "Eat up, Kion. You need this more than I do." Kion eyed the food for a few seconds and smiled at Janja. "Thanks, Janja." Kion saw where they were and knew the other animals weren't happy seeing Janja in the Pride Lands. But he also saw they were confused as of why Janja was helping him. Kion looked over at Janja, drinking water, and gave a frown. "You sure you don't want any?" Janja stopped drinking and looked at Kion. "You're more hungry than I am, Kion. You need the food." Kion smiled but wasn't going to accept it. He tore off half of his meal and gave half to Janja. "Thanks, Janja, but you deserve this." Janja was a little surprised. Kion gave half his meal to him, but he knew it wasn't a fair share, which is how the circle of life is. Janja then smiled and said, "Thanks, Kion." Kion gave a nod and they both started eating. The other animals were confused about Janja's change of behavior. Kion took notice of the animals. He then decided to take a drink of water. He turned to see Janja staring at him. "What is it, Janja?" I was just thinking about our time in the cave. Are we now friends?" The other animals at the watering hole heard him and gasped. Kion was also surprised by this question. He wasn't surprised that much because of their time together in the cave. Kion nodded and smiled. Friends. John just smiled back and continued to eat his food with Kion. The other animals stood in shock for a bit, and then left to Pride Rock to tell Simba and Nala. Kion knew where they were going. Janja? I know, Kion. Let's hurry up and finish our food. After they finished, they left the watering hole and went to the border of the Outlands.
Well, see you later, Janja. See ya, Kion.
They both smiled. Right as Janja was about to leave, Kion stopped him.
Janja, wait. What if Scar finds out you changed? I'm sure you want to stop him now, right?
Janja turned to face Kion and nodded.
I'll just...
What the heck? Okay.
I'll just come straight to you. And I know my clan will listen to me.
Janja put his paw on Kion's shoulder.
I'll be fine, friend.
Kion smiled and nodded. Janja smiled back and hugged Kion. This caught Kion off guard. He hugged him back. After a good 10-second hug, Kion let go and went back to the Outlands, waving bye to Kion. Kion waved back as he headed towards the Pride Rock. Little did the two know that the lizards from Scar's army heard everything. Technically they're skinks, but I'll give that a pass.
Scar will be so disappointed when he hears this.
Last chapter for the night. Chapter 10. The search begins/ends. At Jasiri's territory. 2 hours before Kion and Janja continued their walk. Everyone woke up. Okay, that's some good English right there. Everyone woke up and had breakfast before they started searching for Kion and Janja. Ona was the first one to speak.
Jasiri, how about you and your clan look around your territory while we look around the rest of the Outlands?
Jasiri nodded and the guard split up. And the guard and Janja's clan left. There we go.
Alright everyone, split up, Jasiri said.
The crew split up. The guard looked outside of Janja's territory, while his crew looked near the territory. They didn't want to get too close to the volcano, knowing how Scar is. After 2 hours of searching, they decided to go back to Jasiri's territory. Jasiri saw the group and reported their searching. No signs of us either, and Janja's crew is getting desperate. Fuli responded, looking back at Janja's crew. Frowns on their faces. Nene stepped in and spoke.
Well, we'll just head back.
I'll be right back, guys. What? Okay, guys. I thought I was gonna read chapter 10, even though I read the first paragraph and a half. But I gotta go. Yeah, I guess that's it for this live stream. If you enjoyed it, click or tap that like button and subscribe for more, and follow me on my Instagram and Twitter, which are down in the description below. Thanks for watching this live stream, and stay positive to the Pride Land's end. Bye.